B2 here, he had a major report yesterday that Netanyahu has made the decision that there's going to be a massive expanded invasion of Gaza, including a long-term occupation, and that they're willing to operate in areas where they suspect that hostages are being kept, which has been a line that they have publicly at least attempted not to cross because, for obvious reasons, it puts them at immediate risk of being killed, either by Israel, by the IDF, or by their captors, who Hamas has long said have been told, if you're guarding hostages and they're trying to take them by force, like, that's it. Like, you all go down.
Well, let's go even further. He says, we are going to occupy the Strip. The decision has been made. Hamas won't release more hostages without total surrender. We won't surrender. If we don't act now, the hostages will starve to death and Gaza will remain under. The hostages will starve to death.
And parents looking for a chunk of bread because a couple of Hamas terrorists are guarding them. It's a crime. It's a genocide. Here it is. Trita Parsi tweets out, wow. That's how Trita starts out. Wow, exclamation, all caps. While defenders of Israel in the West deny genocide, deny starvation, or blame it on the UN, the former deputy director of Mossad, Amram Levin, calls it a genocide. You want to hear him do it? Here we go. Former deputy director of Mossad. So here's what he said. He says, the orders the government are giving the army today are a crime. You have to call the child by his name to give an order to shoot at hungry children. Hang on, let me back this up. Because I got a little. It's going a little faster than I wanted to. The orders the government are giving the army today are a crime. You have to call the child by his name to give an order to shoot at hungry children. And parents looking for a chunk of bread because a couple of Hamas terrorists are guarding them. It's a crime. It's a genocide. I think he should hold his mic closer. That's what I think. It looks like he's trying to stick it up his nose.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's what he says. So that's that's what we are doing there. He calls it a genocide, and he said, I forgot to do that joke last night. The genocide ethnic cleansing joke.
That's sure a big deal. Funny. Sure, a genocide joke is funny. Oh, okay. People are here. My water's over there, but I'm settled in comfortably. So I think I'll sit just where I am as I start, and we'll get going. And then I'll save for later moving to get that. I hope everyone's well. I'm doing reasonably well for, I guess I'm an old guy, for an old man. Today I don't have much new. I'm starting to think that my projection that everyone in Canada will be on vacation. I doubt the key people at Railtown or at AI Partners will be, but I think attorneys and regulators are going to be on vacation. So I'm starting to think we're just going to have to go through the dull days of August, and that maybe this, what do you want to call it? Acquisition. It's probably more like a merger, that we have to look till after Labor Day, after the holidays. So let's get ready for another 4 weeks of just hanging in there. And let's talk today about what that means. I think it'll be the second week of September before this deal gets done. I've been told I'm way too pessimistic, but I see no evidence that the deal gets done more quickly. Is that because it's a better deal? Probably. Probably means it's a better deal, and it probably means good things for us, that it'll come into the news as Wall Street gets back from their summer vacation. But my guess is that there is a clause, if you look it up on the website for Canadian regulations, there is a clause that says that you can delay reporting material information if it'll be harmful to shareholders. So maybe that's what's going on. And anyway, my mind, my heart, 4 more weeks before the deal gets done. So what does that mean? I think it gives you a chance to buy the stock, but it does not mean that the stock will be under 60 cents for 4 weeks. I think the stock will be going up, and I would not dawdle. I wouldn't dally. I wouldn't hesitate. I wouldn't wait. If you don't have your position, I'd add to your position. It's a tight market. It's a Canadian market, and the shorts can't do anything about that. They can try, but this stock really, they have had very little effect on. The stock price has essentially doubled, and they haven't been able to do anything. So I want to show you something. Last week, I got pretty forceful in my view that it's the height of stupidity to spread your money around all these other stocks as if Railtown's the same as all these stocks. Now, if that's the mood you're in, you want to be a trader with a D, trader, and you want to just hear something and you want to see it, what your hot hand is, and you have an addiction to losing, go ahead. But I want to explain what I meant. I believe in the case of Railtown, to try to put it in 4 or 5 simple points, the technology of AI 2.0, the data centers, the chips, the energy, the regulatory, I'm talking not financial, I'm talking government, and the government financial commitments in Canada and elsewhere, the United States, the Middle East, everything is moving towards AI 2.0. And this, if you believe it, which I do, and I'm by the way, I've been really wrong on most technological trends, from the PC to what's the one that swipes back and forth? I've never signed up. You know, those dating apps. I'm not a big technology adapter or user, but the overall AI 2.0 is probably, as long as the planet doesn't get hit by an asteroid, as long as there's energy, as long as there's not an extinction event, as long as we don't go to World War III. AI 2.0 is the transformational technology of this generation and the next generation. And it's going to create wealth on a scale that's unbelievable. That's one. Two, the overall market, the stock market, the Morgan Stanleys, the Goldman Sachs, the Madison, well, the private groups, the State Streets and Vanguards and ARC Consulting, all of these people are raising money and they're going to invest in AI 2.0, and that will become evident after Labor Day and through the end of the year. It'll be hundreds of billions of dollars and more. And you can say, well, are they going to sift through all the stocks and they might ignore Railtown? I suppose that's possible, but they don't show that. They don't show that discretion now. Any AI company with a pulse or who's breathing seems to be gathering funding. I think that'll continue. I think it'll be the shotgun approach rather than the rifle approach. Why? Because these money managers and these investment bankers and et cetera, they get paid in comparison to their peers. They need to be in the top and they need to claim the assets so they can then pitch it to you that they're such geniuses. Why don't you come into this ETF? Why don't you come into this managed money? They have to get there first, and they will. That's point number two. Point number three, Railtown.AI was founded by several people, two of which, Marwan Haddad and Corey Brandolini, and the rest, I'm just limits of my memory, was founded by two guys who met approximately 6 years ago. They have enormous history in the software development space. They've each been involved in companies which then were sold on to major players. And in particular, Corey Brandolini was involved in a company in some status that we can go over, I just can't remember now, that was sold to Microsoft. They met 6 years ago and they said, you know what's coming? AI 2.0. I don't know if they use that language. That's the definition that James Altucher uses. They said, you know what? Let's get ahead of the game. There's a problem in software. Do you remember when we developed software and the Klingon light, the Klieg lights and the Klingon sirens would come on? Beep, beep, beep. Emergency, emergency, all hands on deck. The system is going to crash. Do you remember all that? Let's fix it with AI 2.0. Let's create a tool that can digest all computer languages, all tools languages, including human images. Let's make our agent the best in class. Let's make it a translator of all data, and let's make it able to correlate that data, not only recognize patterns, but create new software, create new ideas, help software developers find the mistakes, find the bugs, fix the bugs, upgrade software, create new software, AI software. Let's make sure it's a new self-learning. Let's make sure it's proprietary. And let's, instead of the open AI, which goes horizontally across all of the internets and anybody can have it, let's go vertically. institution by institution by institution. Let's be early, let's be first, and let's be the best. They did it. That's Railtown.AI Technologies. Then AI partners, completely separate group of guys, just two of them, three of them, Mike Norbrega, Dr. Tom Core, John Ruffalo, but there's a whole group, guy from IBM. They got together and said, you know what? Canada's making a huge push to diversify away just from energy and resources, very similar to the Middle East, by the way, and they're getting into AI. We have a finance background because most of us got our background and our training and our skills working for OMERS, the Ontario Municipal Employee Retirement System. Others worked at think tanks and government-sponsored bodies on the AI issue or opportunity. Let's create a company that we gather 160 or more of the best companies in North America who are in the AI space, private, who need funding, they need technological advice, and they need people, and they need customers. They have customers, but everybody needs customers. So let's put this network together. Let's cross-sell, use each other's skills and platforms. We're better together than each of us out there alone. And let's design it so that we roll up. In other words, we acquire each of these companies in turn to create a big Death Star, to create a big home company benefiting from the brains and the revenue and the technologies of 160 companies. And better yet, I believe, they haven't expressed that yet, why don't we mimic the company who we funded, OMERS and John Ruffalo, with $25 million, Constellation Software, which over a period of a decade and a half, went from approximately that $25 million valuation to $100 billion. Why don't we try to replicate that roll-up strategy, that acquisition strategy? And by the way, we have all the funders who made money following, investing with us, and also following our advice in Constellation Software. Brilliant. So they set about making AI Partnerships Corp with great success. That's point, I think, 4. Point 5, Railtown meets AI partners, and these guys say, hey, why don't you buy us? Which I think does all the confirmation you ever need. But that's, I think, point 5. Point 6, we've been in a quiet period ever since they announced the acquisition. That quiet period precludes buyers who know what they're talking about, buyers who are passionate about AI 2.0, buyers who know material information, but it hasn't been disclosed yet. So if they buy the stock, they go to jail. So there's a whole swath of money and people that know what they're doing who haven't entered into the fray of price discovery of the value of what Railtown should be trading for. On top of that, up until the last couple of days, we've had the short sellers who are criminal apparently establishing 46 million shares of positions over the last months, 46 million shares on a total outlay of 100 million shares outstanding, float. Suppressing the price. So now we're in this limbo, and the cat's away, the mice play. So that's 0.6. 0.7, it feels like it's never going to end. Well, that's just a feeling. It will end. And then there'll be real price discovery. So it's an opportunity to add to positions, buy, or just hold on. And I guess the final point I'll make is this preamble. There's an effort out there from Tony De Niro to make you poo-poo this and follow his slow brain. There's an effort by other guys getting you to say, hey, yeah, I don't really know, but look at this, hey, shiny thing here, shiny thing here. And they want you, bottom line, to believe that Railtown's just another piece of shit stock that's going to be manipulated to go higher. My contention is Railtown's only under $1, only under $2, because the attorneys cannot finish the volume of work they've been given, which is probably good news for us. Or they're just on vacation. I don't know what's going on. Nobody can know. But my read on it is not only is the news good, it's probably getting better. And papering that up, regulatorying that up, getting all the hundreds of, literally it could be hundreds of people that have to give their initial of approval. It's 160 companies in the partnership. Whatever. I simply don't know why it's taking so long. But it will come to an end. I'm telling you, let's get prepared for the second week of September so we have no anxiety. We're just going to ride it out. We don't expect anything to happen between now and September 15th. We'll just chill. That takes all the pressure off, all the emotions off, and then we don't have to have hot money. I'm telling you, everybody in Canada is on vacation, except probably for the principals. Canada is a country, I've traveled, I'm sure you've traveled. Australia, Canada, most of Europe, they get 6 to 8 weeks of vacation paid and they take it. We're not used to it here in the United States. We barely get 2 weeks paid. But these other Commonwealth/European countries, they basically take the bulk of the summer off. So get ready to wait for the middle of September. I've made phone calls. I hear nothing back. If you need to hear from somebody who talks to the company, tune in to Tony De Niro. The company talks to Tony De Niro. Nobody speaks to me. Nobody. For the last 2-3 weeks. Something like that, approximately. So get ready to wait. It'll be worth the wait. Don't get shaken out. Add to your position. And let's get ready for real excitement and wealth creation in the third and fourth quarter. Now, I want to show you what I recommended on June 4th, and then got, maybe some would say, defensive about. But I would say adamant about. I'm going to go through this with you. On June 4th, Thursday, June 4th, I came on, and ever since, I was urgent then. I've been wrong. My urgency, I misinterpreted the drive of the attorneys, the drive of the regulators. I'm not sure I misinterpreted the drive of the principals, but I don't know. For some reason up in Canada, they're not as transactional, they're not as urgent, they're not as bottom line as we are south of the border. We want results. Up in Canada, eh? Nice day, eh? Let's take our time, eh? Hey, it'll happen, eh? And that's, I don't know which is better, but hey, we're waiting. So I've been wrong for June. I've been wrong for July. And I think I'm making the right call now for August. Get ready that August, nothing happens. Nothing will happen in August is my prediction. And it will be Labor Day or beyond that the deal will get done. I think that's perfect for us because everybody will be back at their desks by the second week of September. And I think the news will hit like a thunderclap. All right, so 2 months ago, Thursday to Thursday, I made the recommendation. It's what I did with my small account. I made the recommendation, get out of the other stuff and go focus on Railtown. Now, I couldn't look at my account for 2 weeks and couldn't look at stock quotes for 2 weeks because I was so nervous the other stocks were going to go up. I'm just human. I have that same electricity and I'm listening to the calls and I'm hearing, oh my gosh, there's going to be a billionaire coming into G-Bucks or there's a billionaire coming into MTEN and oh my gosh, there's whales involved. Oh my gosh, they have the whole short position. And oh my gosh, Alibaba's coming into finger motion. Oh my gosh, there's going to be a research report out of Roth Capital with a $20 target. Oh my gosh, MTEN is the best thing. Frank is saying this is the best stock. And then he's pushing it with his people as if his people are a whole unique set of new investors. They're just the exact same investors that other guys use. He has a lot of chutzpah and he gets away with it. And then, the energy vault, what an idea. Energy vault, Elon Musk, the guy that studies this and creates batteries and is focused on energy, he hasn't thought of what Energy Vault has. And Energy Vault needs to use leverage to even get a 15% return. But this is the next one. It's going to go. You better be in it. So anyway, and there's other stocks. So what I've done here, I said to you, concentrate everything in Railtown of all this high risk, this junk, and your speculative stocks. The blowback I got from all and sundry is, oh, diversification. Oh, it's ridiculous or laughable, I forget the word, to just be in one stock. What about these stocks are going up? Tony De Niro, after talking to Railtown, his conclusion was it's just like Nixie, because he's a functional financial idiot. And then he said, now he's pushing quantum apparently instead of Railtown, because his judgment sucks, in my opinion. But all of you were asked to think I am various stages of unhinged, unreasonable, and that my recommendation was absolutely out in left field. So anyway, what I've put here, if you had allocated $1,000 on the opening, June 4th, to these 10 stocks, this is what you would have paid. Railtown, 34 cents. G-Bucks, 468. That's the red. Finger, 250. That one's red. Quantum, if you had heard about it, you would have paid $14.53. Mountain, you would have paid $12.35. Both green. Nixie, you would have paid $2.08. It's red, or $2.06. I can't quite read that. ZJYL, you would have paid 77 cents. It's in the red. GDC, if you had purchased it June 4th at the open, you paid 267. It's in the green. Next trip, you'd pay 277. It's in the green. Energy Vault, you'd pay 98 cents. It's in the green. What can you learn from this? Well, number one, it's not a very scientific study. I'm simply picked 9 of the stocks I remember that are being discussed. I probably left out others, which could go both ways. I didn't intentionally pick any of these stocks because they were red or green. I honestly didn't know. In the case of Mountain and Quantum, my understanding is those stocks were brought to your attention in the middle of July, not in June. But anyway, I used the June 4th price. And what you can see here, other than Railtown, is 5 companies were in the green, 4 were in the red. So the idea of diversification looks really intelligent. Well, the majority of the stocks went up. So that must be reasonable. Why are you so unreasonable? Let's be reasonable. Okay. If you add in Railtown and you do all 10, 6 companies went up in price, 4 went down. Hey, that seems really reasonable. That's like I learned in business school. That's like I learned in Random Walk Down Wall Street. That's like what I learned at my investment banking job when I got out of school, my starter training. That's great. See, William was wrong to focus everything in just one stock. By spreading it out over 10 stocks or many more, you beat the average because 6 out of the 10 stocks went up. Average must be when it goes 5 for 5, which I don't think is an assumption you can make, but I don't have time to do that arithmetic. It's just it's not worth the effort. So let's look at it more closely. If you put $1,000 in each of these stocks, as of around when I did this chart, which was around 11 o'clock. So it's not very scientific. Your original commitment was $1,000 to each of them, but Railtown was 56 cents, G-Bucks was 68 cents, Finger was $1.49, Quantum was $26.05, Mountain was $13.99, Nixie was $1.76, ZJYL was 63 cents, GDC was $3.40, Next Trip was $4.06, and Energy Vault was $1.42. So if you start June 4th with $1,000 in each, that's $10,000. To go down the performance from Thursday, June 4th to Thursday, August 7th, Railtown's up 64%. G-Bucks is down 85%. Finger is down 40%. Quantum is up 79.3%. Mountain is up 13.3%. Nixie is down 15%. ZJYL is down 18%. GDC is up 27.3. Next strip is up 50.4. NRGV is up 44.9%. Obviously, this looks like proof that it's laughable to concentrate your stock position in one stock. And I'm talking about in the speculative area. This obviously shows that that's stupid. Well, let's go over to the far right column. What is Railtown worth as of midday today? If you put 1,000 in, it's worth $1,650. What is G-Bucks? It's worth $150. What's Finger? It's worth $600. What is Quantum? It's worth $1,800. Nice trade. Mountain, it's worth $1,133. What's Nixie worth? $850. What's ZJYL worth? $820. What's GDC worth? $1,275. What's Nextra worth? $1,500. What's NRGV worth? $1,500. Approximately. So that idea of spreading your money out, because that's what you learned at business school and on Wall Street, in 2 months, you've turned $10,000. This is unscientific. You've turned $10,000 into a little over $11,000. And bravo, you're in the green. You've made 12% on your money, which is actually really good. If you can keep it up, 12% for 2 months is an enormous annualized return if you can keep doing it. Now, bravo, great. That shows justification, and William is wrong. So you've turned $10,000 into $11,204, 12% positive return. Your account is up $1,204. Bravo. William's an idiot. Well, look at under the black line. William's recommendation was move everything in these buckets of junk and high risk into the speculative company Railtown. And again, as of approximately 11 o'clock this morning, not very scientific. If you put your entire $10,000 into Railtown, it's now worth $16,470, and your account is up 65%. So your account is up $6,470 versus $1,204. That was my recommendation. I stand by it. I've been very forceful on it. Now let's talk about it a little bit. One question. Well, what if instead of Railtown, you would put all your money in G-Bucks? That would have been a disastrous strategy. Yeah, I didn't say that. G-Bucks is one of the all of these are manipulated stocks, by the way, except probably Nextrip. Finger over the long run, I don't think's manipulated. So there's some exceptions. But in the short run, most of these are stocks that are under either computerized manipulation, or they're trying to get retail to jump in to then have the computers trigger. We'll break down each stock maybe as we go on. But yes, so the point is, if all these stocks are equal in quality, and you decided to focus on just one, you'd be making an enormous gamble. And if that one were G-Bucks, or for example, Mountain, if you had purchased that over $20 when it was recommended, you're actually down right now. But I didn't want to get, I didn't want to pick on anything, so I just started it on June 4th. So if you made the disaster of focusing solely on G-Bucks, you're essentially wiped out. And to be down 85%, to go back to making your money back, you've actually got to have, just round numbers, 100% move in the stock up. You've got to double. That's very difficult in most cases. So you're right. If you look at it that way, as a general rule of thumb, concentrating in one stock can be disastrous. But that is not what I said. I said Railtown outshines all these stocks. It doesn't belong at this price. It doesn't belong here. But the rest of the world wants you to believe Railtown is just as mediocre an investment as the rest of these. I'm standing here telling you, Railtown is completely different. Okay, what's another observation you can make here? Another observation you can make here is that well, I guess it's what they'd want you to think. Why don't you take your profit at Railtown now and spread it out across the others? The others are junk. The others are manipulated. But that's what they're going to want you to do. I don't want you to do that. I want you to cling to Railtown like it's your lifeboat, like it's going to take you to the naval rescue ship away from the wreckage of the Titanic. Cling to Railtown. But they're going to try to get you, hey, that one's up. Why don't you redistribute your profits? Another thing they're going to try to do, hey, Quantum's up. You got to get in it. It's time to get in it. I'll go over quantum in a minute. They might say, hey, look at NRGV. It's up. You got to race over. Frank Benedetto is great. He's brought you Mountain and NRGV and COSM and that clear seawater one and another one that I don't remember. And now look, his hand is hot. Get over to it. I don't want you to do that. Unless you want to be a trader, Frank's as good a guy to listen to as anybody. If you want to be a trader and if you want to be at the whims of hot money. I guess another lesson you can learn here is I was wrong in my predictions of how high Railtown could go in June, how high it could go in July. And so you could say, well, Railtown's, why is it any better? We'll try to talk about that as we go on. But I think this chart proves my contention that if you have an edge, which is information, knowledge, the whole industry at your back, the whole financial apparatus at your back, and you don't have the manipulators, well, let's say the manipulators are shorting stock, but Railtown doesn't need us. Railtown doesn't need some fast talking, hey, let's do this, move that, and we'll get that kind of thing going on. Railtown doesn't need us. So I think this chart proves, frankly, that my call was correct. Now, the final thing I'll say about this This is all history. What can we know today? What do we know today about these 10 stocks? Let's go down them one by one. Railtown. We're in a prolonged limbo. The stock trades at this lower than the price that it traded when research came out a year ago. So although any stock can go down, it's probably reasonable to assume that the downside risk, other than spikes, in Railtown is very low. It is speculative, so it's in that context. But the pressure is on from short selling. We haven't gotten the news of the closing of the merger. We don't know revenue. Buyers haven't come in. There's a lot of reason to believe Railtown is going to go up dramatically, but very little reason, other than a spike, to believe that it's going to collapse. G-Bucks. Well, you know the story of G-Bucks. It's out of Goldman Sachs. There's a crypto guy who sold his crypto. He's going to put 212 million in. All of management and the guys out of the Middle East flew into San Diego. They're talking together. They're going to get the deal done. They're going to put the 212 million into a property portfolio. That's going to give enough money to cover all overhead. The G-Bucks app is used by something like a dozen or 24 retailers in the United States. It's a brilliant idea. Every time you use it, money goes to your favorite charity, as long as it's not Palestinians. Otherwise, you're going to get blocked over the use of using it. And it's just simply amazing. The app is so fantastic. It uses AI, and it's got exclusive rights in the Middle East. And there's a big short position, and the whales own most of it. And as the stock goes up, it's going to trigger a buy-in, and the stock's going to go to 150. That's the story on G-Bucks. So what's the likelihood that G-Bucks goes up over the next, let's say, by October 1st? Goes up to 100 or 150. I would say it's less than 2%. What is the likelihood it goes lower? I don't know how to answer it. It already seems to be back where it started. But I would say it could go to 50 cents. So is that a good risk reward? It's only for you to call. Finger, you know the story on Finger. Alibaba's coming in. They exercised all the calls. They raised all the money they need. The C2 contract is gigantic. It's going to pull the company out of the doldrums all by itself. Jack Ma is interested. There's big investors coming in. There's 300 million shares short. We know that for a fact. There's going to be a huge buy-in. The stock is, they're going to turn earnings positive. There's going to be a research report out of Roth Capital for $20. There's big buying coming out of Wall Street. I can't remember all the stories that we're expecting with Finger Motion. So again, I ask you, where is Finger Motion going to be by October 1st? My guess it's at 75 cents plus or minus 25 cents. Oh no, yeah, how can you be saying that? Well, I think they're going to have to raise money. And I haven't noticed anybody raise money for Finger Motion above market. So it's the risk. What's the reward? I guess the short squeeze could take it to 3,500. That's what I'm hearing. my own opinion, the odds of a short squeeze taking it to 3,500 are 0.0001. So I don't think it's a good place to be for the next 8 weeks. Quantum. Well, it's in motion. It seems to be up quite a bit over the last 2 months. Will it continue? Yeah, it could. Maybe this is the one that's going to squeeze. Maybe. They've got everything in the name and in the stock. The name is quantum, like computers. It's biopharmaceuticals or something like that, a hot area for healthcare. It's got AI. It's got XRP. It's got Bitcoin. I'm surprised it doesn't have Farrah Fawcett, Kardashian, and Sweeney in there. But the stock, there's no doubt about it, the stock's going up. So the question is, where will it be 8 weeks from now? I don't know. We'll go over a couple things on that one. But my guess is that quantum is in the middle of an organized, computerized buying, and people are fear of missing out, jumping in, and it's becoming a little bit self-fulfilling, and they've paid promoters to come bring it to you. And my prediction is that quantum will do a financing before October 1st. And will stall and effectively neutralize any gains you make. You make your own prediction. But I would guess the odds are that quantum is flat to down over the next 8 weeks than it's some super magnificent high. It's basically a very complicated story. If you take Tony DeNaro's admonition to read the filings, you'll find out there's a lot of people getting paid, a lot of stock going out, and it's a very complicated, I would argue, BS story. Mountain, a Chinese company, that means Univest might be involved. That means a bunch of players might be involved. Again, it's a similar story. Big short position, we can make it move. This company's going to go. There's a billionaire going to come in. I don't know. It does some sort of automobile parts in one of the most competitive, low margin automobile markets in the world, with a government and an economy in the middle of deflation. But it's going to go up. All right. What do you think it'll do for the next 8 weeks? My prediction on Mountain is flat to down, and they're trying to get a deal done. That's my prediction of financing done. But you got to make your own predictions. Nixie, 176. Where could that go over the next 8 weeks? Well, they got a new CEO. They've published that they're going to have enormous revenues. They've published AI. We're AI. They've published that that those revenues are going to not only big, they're going to grow. Offsetting that, their auditors resigned. They have apparently a bunch of whales in there who own more than the float, or the short, more than the short. The stock tried to run in October, and somebody threw a wrench in the motors. It tried to run approximately February. Somebody threw a wrench in. But the next time they try to run it, it's going to work. That's the story for Nixie. What's my prediction? I don't think Nixie does anything for the next 8 weeks. I don't think it does anything until the auditor re-audits the company. 2 years. I don't know how long. I don't think it's a very good place to be. ZJYL, you know the story. 200 for one, forward split. A bunch of Chinese and Asian, Southeast Asian investors, whales who own the more than the short. It's a Chinese company. I think this is the one that does wheelchairs. Maybe Univest is involved. It could be the next HKD TLP. All right. What odds do you have that that runs in the next 8 weeks? What's the risk to the downside? I would guess the risk to the downsides can't get much lower. But my prediction is it's not going to go much higher either. It's just in a complete stall unless they make it work. One of these could work. GDC, it's actually up. So maybe GDC's the one that's going to run. GDC, similar story. Southeast Asian, Chinese investors, whales, they own more than the short, and the short's massive. And it's a Chinese company that does something in China. It's really important as a company, and Univest might be involved. They might be able to make it do an HKD or TOP, and billionaires might be involved, and whales are involved, and if it just takes off, it could run. Well, it might be the one that runs. It might just be. My prediction, because it's up, I don't know. I'm 50-50. It could go a little higher, not much higher. It could go up to 5 and they do a deal, they do a financing, or it could go back to its lows. So I think it's a high risk, low reward. High risk, low reward. Next trip, I love the story. I've talked to the people there. I love the idea of matching content created by travelers, and they can get paid for it, with one of the best software engines that they picked up at bankruptcy. And it's a concierge service, and they're addressing the high end of the market. But I think they need financing. I think if we go into a depression or a recession, or the market corrects, or we go to war, travel's going to be problematic. Travel will be problematic. Look at Las Vegas right now. Look at some other destinations. I also think the concierge model is highly competitive. I think the content creation is mostly YouTube, although I guess TikTok gives it a run for the money. So I'm not sure that they've answered the question of how to beat the highly competitive nature and how to make the margins excel, but I don't know. I like Next Trip. If I had to predict over the next 8 weeks, they'll do an equity raise in September/October, and it'll be under $4. Energy Vault. Great story, but everybody has that story. Nothing new about that story. Their acquisitions are far-flung, so they don't get any benefit of a concentration in area or talent. It's spread across a lot of currencies. It's spread across a lot of technologies. Is this really the breakthrough technology, or is it tired technology that didn't take off, but it still reasonably works as long as you get subsidies? But now we're in a world where green subsidies are falling apart, and it's a highly competitive market. They have to leverage, they have to borrow money to get 15%. I think that stock has 2 things ahead of it. If it goes up, they'll do a financing and it'll come back down. or it just comes back down. So I think most of these stocks, other than Railtown, are high risk, low reward. They're high risk, and almost some of them almost guaranteed to lose money. Railtown, to me, by October 1, will be $6. That's 10x. So that $11,000 today, I see real risk that by October 1, that 9 out of 10 of those stocks way underperform. I do think Railtown outperforms anything you can think of. So maybe the net, that 11,000 might be worth 12 or 13,000 by October 1. I think the $16,500 worth of Railtown right now by October 1 will be worth $60,000 or better by October 1. So I remain in a position of ridicule telling you you should concentrate your entire position of these stocks and more into Railtown. All right, that was my opening. That was my opening statement. And now let me point out to you, this is not a new number. Nobody gave me numbers yesterday. At least I didn't see them. Oh no, there was one small addition, Chester, but I didn't add it in. If you added in Chester, we'd be at 10,710,000. We'd be at 10,711,000 shares. But otherwise, we're still at about 7.7% of Yahoo's number the last time I looked of outstanding shares. And we have 187 people participating or willing to say they are participating. And yeah, let's go down to your comments. Hi, Steve. Thank you for joining. Uncle Bill, Mobile. Chestnut. Good day from Utah. Good day. How do they say that in Utah? They probably say, I don't know what they say in Utah. They probably say, what's a ute? What's a ute? Steve says, let's go 72 cents. It can't be trading there. Nope, they got Railtown down at 53.4. They've got Energy Vault up 47 cents. So what number did I use just now? Oh, I used 141. All right, so it's even higher now. It's 163. So my numbers would be off a little bit there. Next strip is 402. Nixie's down. It's at 171. GDC's up 7 cents. G-Bucks is down 18.5 at 71 cents. Finger is down 6 cents at 147. It looks like today Energy Vault is the winner, but let me look at QNTM. Yeah, it looks like Energy Vault so far is the winner today. But Railtown, that's if you want to trade. I don't want you trading. But Railtown on 162,000 shares is down 2 cents. They want you to know that the stock sucks now that I'm telling you it doesn't. Hey, Tebow, Alex. Tebow Teals. Northeast Iowa. Good for you. I'm going to start a new list. That's exactly what to do. Keep adding. You're going to be glad you did. That's all right. That's a good job. Take advantage of it. Good for you. Congratulations. Go Railtown. Exactly. Thank you. Pizza Rules, much thanks from upstate New York. Rob D. Pizza, where are you from in upstate? I'm from upstate New York. Not that I ever lived there, but I was born there. My dad lived. Wow. I think my dad was born in Adams, New York, but I have to admit, I'm hesitating. But anyway, he lived in Adams and Buffalo and Albany in his in his young years. And then my mother was, oh Lordy, I think she was born in Schenectady. She certainly lived in Schenectady, and they met. Good morning, Marty Party. Not being negative, just facts. You know what? Screw you. You're just facts. Who are you? Are you here as a shill? Earnings revenue are important. No shit. ZJYL, Fingers, CAUD, Nix, GTII Logic, and others all have had terrible earnings and revenue. How is Rail different? You're such an asshole. You're such an asshole. Such an asshole. Let's go over Railtown. Here's yesterday's stuff. Railtown is in the hottest space on Wall Street. I hate, you're not supposed to use that term, but that is what's going on. If Railtown just gets 1,000 users for its first to market, world-class, highly received product via GitHub, for example, they're in the Microsoft space. If they get 1 million software developers out of 30 million in the world to spend $75 a year. Currently, they're charging, at least a year ago, their model was $108, so I'm using $75, discounting it. That's $75 million a year. AIP, currently the underlying companies do over 400 million in revenue. Now they're not acquiring those necessarily. That might be what's going on, but it's not in the press release. In the press release, they're acquiring the partnership, and then the partnership, once the deal's done, is going to aggressively target the acquisition of the best of those companies. So if you assume out of 400 million, they net out 50 million in revenue, you can see a projection for Railtown and AIP in 2027 having 125 million in revenue. If you apply the going multiple, the high end of the multiple being paid for AI 2.0 revenue is 150 times revenue. I'm going to apply that here because I think I'm using a low estimate of the revenue they'll have in 2027. That gives a corporate valuation of $18 billion. And if you divide that out by 150 million shares, gives you a target of $125 a share. That Dak McDermott is why Railtown is different. ZJYL is a manipulated stock. Never had really any revenues. Finger does have revenues. 35 million a year for 3 years. Collective audience completely destroyed by bad decisions by the board and the attorneys who wouldn't listen to me, by the way, but they did a deal with Aubrey Advisors, who's a friend of yours, and Chadron Financial, who's a friend of yours, and Polar Investment, who's a friend of yours. Nixie was originally GoLogic, Brent's son, rolling up something with Recruiter.com. That pansy-looking CEO, and I love pansy guys. They're great. They're great. Nothing wrong with that. But he comes out in shorts and says it's my fight. He sold all of his stock, and he went down the way. All manipulated, all tried to be manipulated, all about how do we bring revenue in, how do we bring AI, we've got a bunch of whales, we can get the computers going up if we can just make it a meme stock and everybody around the world will buy in and then the stock squeezes. We've all got to get away from those. But Nixie actually, earnings and revenue are important. So's your mama. Nixie actually has projected revenues that are really big, but I do not support Nixie. If you want to go trade it, go trade it. GTII always was a piece of shit company. It never had revenues. Out of the gate, it didn't have revenues. It never promised to have revenues. It was a short squeeze target. I think it was squeezing Dak McDermott until your friends came and stopped it by hiring Frank Benedetto, Lou Bravo, and the CEO of COSM to come in and tell a misrepresented story, and everyone flooded over there, and the squeeze stopped in GTII and the squeeze stopped in Finger. That's my interpretation. You can't go and test that theory in a lab, but GTII was always a piece of shit company that was a short squeeze play. Railtown is not a short squeeze play. And as much as you want to compare it, it just isn't that. Logic was run by Brent's son, and for some reason, bless his heart, the guy always signs a financing that destroys all of the hard work, all of the money he raised, all of his hard work and efforts get destroyed with one signature of a pen. And you guys, through Aubrey Advisors, through the attorneys, through Chadron Financial, with the help of Polar and one other investor, stole the entire market cap of Collective Audience and Logic, and you did it from the jump. And if you have to know, there were projections The biggest difference here, Railtown doesn't have Brent's son involved. Railtown doesn't have Aubrey Advisors and Polar involved. Railtown doesn't have Chadron involved. Railtown doesn't have Greenberg involved. Railtown doesn't have the guy who created the Metamune out of Switzerland involved. That's the biggest difference, Dak. So you are being negative. You are trying to create FUD, and earnings are important. Of course they're important. Revenues is important. Of course it's important. Past revenue or future revenue? Revenue in a mature market or revenue in a burgeoning field, which is going to transform, apparently, humankind's experience, and it is the technological revolution which will create more wealth than any revolution in 150 years, according to James Altucher. Yeah, of course it's relevant. But what's your point, Dak? Good luck getting out of your short position. Seems reasonable to let Railtown hit the 50-day moving average before jumping in. Let me look. I mean, I think you run the risk of not owning the shares, but you can do what you want. I can't emphasize enough the reason Railtown is drifting and the stock is down is people like Dak McDermott, made up name, shorting the stock while the attorney, as soon as they decide that they're finished, which I must admit, I think is going to be, I think is going to be in September. I don't agree with you, Blessed Beyond Measure. I think you're totally wrong. Let me see if I can take a picture of this and show you. I think these are very badly drawn lines, but I think the company has bounced off support. The yellow line I drew too high. The purple line I probably drew too low. But if you go in between those two lines, I think the stock price has broken out of this pennant or triangle. I don't think you're going to see, blessed by measure, I don't think you're going to see 47 or 48 cents ago. But if you want to wait and miss out, that's your call. One of these days, my call is this pullback's over. I think the stock price is going up from here, regardless of how long it takes for the attorneys to finish the documents. I could be wrong, of course. It could go sideways. But I don't think you're going to see 47 cents again. Anything's possible. If you want to put an order out there at 47 cents, good luck. But the risk you run, blessed beyond measure, the risk you run is that today at 3 o'clock, they announce finally Ms. Anita Thompson signed the final document authorizing her husband's estate to agree to the acquisition, and they're ready to go forward with the deal. Then you're going to see the stock at $1.50, and you'll miss out. And there's going to be two things that happen, blessed beyond measure. There will no longer be endless supply available of stock for sale. Now, it could go on. It could go on till it's $2. But at some point, that endless supply of stock that doesn't exist will no longer be available for sale. Secondly, if the news comes out, which could be at any time, even though I'm highly skeptical, doesn't mean I'm right. You're trying to save 15 cents. It's just foolish. You'll miss out waiting to save 15 cents like an amateur or like a wealthy investor that already owns enough and you don't really care. I submit it's like an amateur in this case. You might end up being correct, but it's a gigantic risk. All that needs to happen, blessed, it's 1:41. Let's say at 2 o'clock, they announce that the final signature they were waiting for is in place. They notify the exchange, they make the press release, and I don't know how they do it up there. Does the company make the press release or does the exchange? I don't know. I assume it's the company. Or maybe it's the Canadian SEC. Anyway, they announce the deal's done. The stock won't trade. The last trade on this stock is 52 cents. Not only won't it go to 47 cents, it won't trade at 52 cents, in my judgment. As soon as that deal's done, it'll trade at $1.25. So yeah, I think you're foolish to do it. But anyway, do what you want to do. I'm tired of arguing. Tired. The problem is, blessed by beyond measure, I don't think there are always stories out there in stocks and things that to get passionate about and buy. The only other thing I've seen as a setup this good is silver. Silver's already moving. So silver's volatile now. Everybody talks about it. But the reason I don't talk about silver right now, I don't want you confused about where I stand on Railtown. And I think it's crazy to try to save 10 or 15 cents and miss out on the opening jump of $1. But hey, you're the daredevil. I'm not. I'm not a daredevil. I wouldn't want to risk being out of the stock trying to get the 50-day moving average. But sometimes it works, so you'll be able to tell me I'm wrong. I think what I'm telling you right now will be correct, even if what I think is a high-risk, stupid strategy ends up working out. I've been wrong before. I don't mind being wrong. Good morning, Emil. Are we in a pennant pattern, run up followed by a period of consolidation? So break to 102. Let me see what you're thinking. It goes 22 cents to 69, comes to 55. So you're adding 47 to 55. I usually do it by if I can find it. Might be the same thing you're doing. I might be tempted. I mean, it's all guesswork. But from the original breakout, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And of course, my chart doesn't go up that high. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let me see if I reduce the amount of time, if I can. No, it doesn't tell me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Well, 6 is 70. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, I would guess the next target is 72 cents is the next target. And if it breaks that, go Hawks. Not having anything to go with, it could go up 60, over 60% more, or maybe two-thirds. No, I think it'd be more than that. I think if it breaks 72, that'd be my next target. I think it'll go to $1.40. I think it'll go to $1.40. But I don't want people trading this. It'll be fun. All those guys, they want your money. They want you trading. They want you to come over. But remember, they're there to make the stock they received valuable. The companies are there talking to you so they can get a financing done, so their life is set. The whales that are in there are hoping to cause a squeeze or at least get out at a profit. So as you're coming in, everybody else is benefiting. And there's no edge to any of these stocks. The edge is in Railtown. There's no edge to any of the other stocks. Just as. Railtown, Slowtronic says 2 to 4 easily. Well, I agree with you. I would say it a different way. I think the move between somewhere around $1.52.25 from that level to say $6, it doesn't matter what you pick. It's going to $6. I think it might be slow. I think it's going to be quick, the initial bump, but it might be stair step. It might be slow from, let's say, $1.50 to $2.25, $3, because a lot of institutional buyers might have in their mandate in their operating agreement that they're not allowed to buy stocks under $5, or they're not allowed to buy it under $3, or they're not allowed to buy it under a certain market cap without a vote. But I think there'll be pent-up demand from wealthy people and retail. If Canaccord Genuity is doing an offering, I would expect them to. Canaccord Genuity gets paid by being an investment banker. They might continue their restricted list for longer, but if not, if they can come off the restricted list fairly quickly, I think they'll put out research, or this group here will put out additional research, and there will be buying, but it may be more stutter, stair step, and all that. And the guys who need your capital are going to come to you and say, that's a win. They're going to say, that's a win for retail. Take your profit and put it over in this POS company. And I don't want you to do that. As Railtown goes up, it may stutter step until it gets to $5.50, $6. But ironically, once it's over $5, that means all of the brokerage firms who follow the Merrill Lynch rule, which is that the retail system cannot solicit orders in a stock under $5. All of a sudden, they can look at Railtown as something to recommend to their clients. I wouldn't expect a whole lot, because most of those investment advisors, wealth advisors, just put money with managed accounts or with ETFs. However, the research departments at the Merrill Lynch's and the Morgan Stanleys can come out with specific research, and the institutional funds might be able to step in and buy Railtown over $5, over $7, over $10. And when institutions are buying it, they're not listening to Dak McDermott. They sit down and they're listening to their highly paid analysts who say Railtown could do $1 billion in revenue over the next 5 years, and based on our multiples, it could be worth thus and thus. They buy the stock so it's in their portfolio. So when they go to attract retirement funds, when they go to get people to put money in managed money, they can either keep the assets under management or bring in new assets under management compared to their peers. And where money is going is into AI 2.0. Railtown's in the heart of AI 2.0. Railtown apparently is in the heart, according to one gentleman I showed you, Lavender, is in the heart of Canadian AI 2.0 ecosystem. So I think 2 to 4 is stupid. 1 to 5, 1 to 150 to 2 might be stutter step, stutter, stutter, stutter. 2, most platforms will let you buy it and even use margin. Don't use margin. Do not use margin. 3, you probably have most of your smaller investment funds that look at AI. The smaller ones, the growth probably can come in. 4, I don't think it matters at all. 5, big change. 5 means that institutions can buy, Merrill Lynch can solicit the order, research can come in, Morgan Stanley. And then 6, 7, huge flows of money, ETFs, other products, and that stock could be $12 in a heartbeat. There's a lot to learn. We're waiting for the attorneys to finish. And I'm telling you, get ready to wait until September 15th. Second week of September. Everybody's going to go on vacation in Canada, except the people working at Railtown, except the people working at AI Partnerships. But all the regulators, all of the lawyers, They're all going on vacation. If you can accept that, we can stop putting pressure on ourselves and just look to the second week of September for the deal getting finalized. That's what I think. But in the meantime, the stock could go to $1. You've never seen anything like it. You've never seen a real stock, a real market, and real price discovery all at the same time. You've never seen it. And it's going to come with Railtown. And the shorts are going to continue to play their game. They're going to continue to try make you think this is a Jeff Easton deal. This is a Kurt Kramer deal. This is an Ari Rubenstein deal. It just isn't. It just isn't. But anyway, if you're looking for 2 to 4, and that's a great trade, I think you're not understanding the story. If it gets to 2 to 4, it's going to 6 or 7. If it gets to 6 or 7, it's going to 15. If it gets to 15, over 18 months further, it's going to 30 or 40 or 50. If it gets in that range, over the next year, it's probably going to be bought out, frankly. And you can almost pick a number if you have 2 companies bidding on it. So if you're still thinking that way, that Railtown's like, hey, look, Quantum's up. What are these other stocks I just showed you? ENRGV is up. If you're still thinking that way, you're going to lose your stock and you're going to miss out on the trade that can change your financial position. That's my opinion right now. Every day, every situation, we have to examine our assumptions and be ready to change our outlook. But having said that, just to be clear, Slowtronic, my call, according to no one else, when the attorneys finally finish their work, you're going to see 10x from there. 10x. And I'm willing to say that all the way up to $1. If the stock drifts up to $1 in August, which is what I would expect, it would drift upward so that by the time everyone comes back from vacation in the first and second week of September, the stock is $1 to $1.20. I'm willing to tell you, even at those levels, that once the attorneys finish, that the trajectory for the stock is 10x from there. So if you get shaken out at 2 to 4 and you think that's a win, you're shortchanging yourself. I'm not trying to be critical. I'm just trying to be adamant. You scream, I scream, we all scream for ice cream. I should have written it that way. You scream, I scream, we all scream for Railtown. I should have written it that way, Jack. Thank you. I only have bleeding Railtown flavor. What does Railtown taste like? How should I, bleeding, know? It's a bleeding Railtown flavor. Do you think U.S.-Canada tariff war am I holding? No. If anything, it's going to work to our advantage, Phil Haynes. I think what's happening, number one, I'm not in the school that tariffs caused the Depression. I'm not in the school that tariffs somehow ruined world trade. That's what the books tell you. That's what I learned. I studied economics. I just don't buy it. I think it was the contraction in debt, the contraction in money, the contraction in asset prices. And I don't think trade would have had anything to do with it. I think the empires of Britain, number one, and to a lesser extent, France, Germany got to the game late, Holland, Portugal, Spain, and Italy, but mainly the British Empire. And there was a Russian Empire, but they kind of withdrew once Lenin showed up. But they all decided to go to war, and it was the height of their financialization. It was the height of their corruption. It was the height of their overreach. And they destroyed themselves in 2 world wars. It's our turn now. We are backing Israel, 6 million ornery white supremacists, colonizers, who can't be happy with anything, and they control our government. Oh, you can't say that. Well, they do, and they control our foreign policy. Lutnick, Flink, Black, everybody standing next to White House. His chief, Susan Wiley controls the audience. And they're all Zionists. They're all hardliners. We can't get away from it. So we have decided to go to destruction, backing Israel. The rest of the world is fleeing. Even our youth is fleeing. But we're going to just head the way of all those empires. And that's what we're doing now. I don't think it has anything to do with tariffs. I actually think that Trump's tariff strategy is brilliant, because he's trying to give protection for industry to come back to the United States and build jobs here, build factories here, build infrastructure here. And that's the use of tariffs. That's in all economic theory. You have to give your nation some protection to build that up. I don't see tariffs. I'm not at all upset with Trump's tariff policy, and I think he's doing the correct thing. I wish he'd get off the Israel kick. Just tell all those 6 million Jews, Zionists, come move to pick a state. We'll give you South Dakota. We'll give you half of Arizona. Just come move here. Get the hell out of the Middle East. But of course, God promised them this land, and God forgives them for genocide of children and women, because God promised the land. There's no contract. It's not in writing. And apparently they broke the covenant over the years. And I guess God's smiting and smoting and allowing the temple to be destroyed a couple of times, that doesn't enter into it. What entered into it for these secular murderers who don't even believe in God is some vague promise. So I guess we got to back that up. We got to spend trillions of dollars, leave ourselves defenseless, all for 6 million people that can't get along with anybody. I think that's the risk to the United States and our world standing and our economy, not tariffs. I think the tariffs, ironically, will actually make the story for Railtown much better. Railtown is a Canadian company, not an American company. And Canada is going, I read it to you yesterday, Canada is and is going to emphasize AI in Canada. And Canada's not as big as the United States. It's, by my memory, what I read to you is the second largest, if not the first largest AI in the G7. It's big. It's big. So I think the tariffs will actually help Canada focus on making Railtown and AI partners better. I think AI in general is going to help companies build factories here who are then exempt. Apple just announced increasing its commitment here, are exempt from tariffs. And those factories are going to need AI software development agents, such as the one Railtown provides. So no, I don't think it's holding up Railtown at all. In fact, I think the reshoring and the upgrading and the focus on factories here and production here is going to be a massive boon to Railtown AI. That's my opinion. Ted, William, I guess you're a bit of a jerk. No, I haven't done it to spur on more buying. I can try to do it right now. I haven't wanted to do it, really, you're right, because it seems a little bit hype meister, but let's try to do it. I'll do it right now. I'm just going to do, Ted, I'm going to do it by quantity, and I'm going to do it one account. I'm not going to combine accounts for anybody. And the numbers are not scientific, of course, because I try to do what people tell me. It's hard to check. I don't cheat, and I've left some off because I'm unsure, but I'll do the best I can. So number one, number two, number 9, number 9, number 9, number 9, number 9, number 9. The only song worse is Mr. Kite. The Hendersons will all be there. Dun, dun, dun. Dun, 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 dun. The worst songs in the world, the Hendersons will all be there. Number 9. One account only. I'm not going to add accounts. The Hendersons will all be there. Da, 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 da. Every little thing she does, boom, boom, she does for free for me. For everybody else, she charges money, boom, boom. Every little thing she does for free for me. For everybody else, she charges money. I only have to give up half of everything I own. Boom, boom. Every little thing she does, she does for me. And you know the things she does for free. Uh-oh, missing one. Okay, so this goes down here, one. Every little thing she does for me. Uh-oh. Looks like I have a double count. I might have to reduce our total, but I'll do that later. Looks like our total is a little bit lower than what I said. So I hope you guys are buying some, because I think I have to reduce it. I think I have to reduce our total by a little over 100,000, because I double counted. I just noticed. Oh well, I didn't do that on purpose. And I got to reduce the number of investors. That's my list. Top 10. I'll try to type it up for tomorrow. 1.3 million, 800,000, 800,000, 270, 250, 240, 235, 190, 190, 170. I'll try to type it up. I've got to adjust the total. I think we're around 10,600,000 now. Unfortunately, I screwed up. But that's still a pretty good number. I'll take my 170 elsewhere, lost cause here. I think you're that number at the bottom, Ted. I think that's your number right there. Right there, number 10 you're number 10 out of the top 10. And I'm just doing it by account, not by, by entry. If people had more than one account, some of these numbers would be bigger. But Ted, I think you make the top 10 pretty strongly. I mean, that's a pretty good number. I think that's you, Ted. I think that's what I have for you. And I can put 170 instead of 169.4 if you want me to. Korean Yoon, what's happening? I have no idea what's happening to G-Bucks. I would guess the best place to find out is to listen to Ham's calls. Last thing I heard is somebody said that G-Bucks isn't going out of business. That seems like faint praise. I think it's probably true it's not going out of business. But if there's rumors like that, that's not very good. Doesn't mean they're true. It just means it's under short attack. It's under short attack. I don't know the answer. I would listen to Ham's calls on Twitter for an answer to what's going on with G-Bucks. Hello, Red Pepper Ronnie. Any news about Ham? I'm sure he's doing fine. He hasn't spoken to me by his choice. He hasn't spoken to me, and I haven't heard anything directly. I know that he's in great health, and he plays racquetball like a 25-year-old. He's a good father, good husband, devoted to his dogs and his deer. I think he's doing fine. Where you can find him is on Twitter, and he's apparently had calls. He's introducing you to a guy I'm sure he screened carefully, who brings you so-called IPO deals. It's just disaster waiting to happen as far as I can tell. But you can listen to him. He brings some deals he's working apparently with Frank Benedetto on. And I'm sure he's got deals that are exclusive to him. They share. Ham made the introduction apparently to Frank of a couple of whales. They both claim that that's their client. I think it's Ham's clients, but Frank's never been one who lacked chutzpah. So I would listen to Ham on Twitter, and you can get the updates. I think he's doing just fine. He never quits. He works hard, and he's got endless energy. So, but that's where to find him is on Twitter. Good day. I am almost legend. One thing I really appreciate and respect about you is that you always admit when you're wrong, or that you might be wrong when making certain predictions. Yeah, it all started with my mother. No, yeah, it's a pain in the ass, but it'd be easy. It'd be easier if you're always right. Some of the times when you're wrong, it doesn't mean that your decision was the wrong one. It just means your prognostication didn't work out. But I wouldn't go back and change the decision. Other times you just get it wrong. Other times you just get it wrong. I think my biggest glaring error, was trusting the assurances and my own read. I'm not trying to blame anybody on Brent's son and logic. I'm not sure that Brent had control over the decision of Chadron Advisors or Aubrey Advisors. And in fact, I've heard that he fought really hard in the boardrooms against that deal. But I don't know. I wasn't privy to it. And so when I was suggesting getting out of GTII and into that, it was before the D-SPAC. And so it had two pieces of paper, so to speak. I was listening to the guy very much from the Amex Stock Exchange, listening to another friend. I met with Brent. So I'm not blaming anybody. I also fought. Once I saw the financing, I was alone in advising the new CEO of Collective Audience and even uncomfortably giving advice to Brent to get the hell away from it all. And I made myself available to fill out the shell in logic. But I'd say that's my single biggest mistake. And I'd have to give him credit. He didn't want anything to do with anything Brent's son did. He didn't think about it much, but I think just that blanket dismissal probably was good. Anyway, I think logic's my biggest. Hey, you can talk about GTII and Finger and CRTD and the charts I drew, but at least that's back at a different time when everybody's emotions were different, when we all believed that the system still worked, or at least I did, at some level. And I was always careful to say if it squeezed. And I don't believe I promoted buying, although I had him on a lot. So I've got to own that. But I think logic was my biggest mistake. But I think I had some positive calls. I think on silver, on the market, on some of the trading. So, but yeah, I mean, that's one that makes me sick to my stomach. It really does. And I think in general that I bought into the assumptions about the short squeezes. I saw that it wouldn't work in AMC and GME, but I didn't, for some reason, extend the logic that to Finger and GTII. But on the other hand, I really do believe Finger and GTII were in the middle of a squeeze until the system convinced three other guys to go bust it. And you know, I take exception to Cindy Lou Who's emotional. Oh, you're blaming a dead man. That doesn't enter in that. What logic is there saying that? But that's how she sees it. What I think it means is not so much blaming Lou. We don't know what Lou would say about it right now. We don't know if he knew what he was doing. But what it shows is the system has a lot of tools to fight back. And in my judgment now, particularly since I found out that in 1994, Bill Clinton's administration, they changed the UCC Section 8, which I just found out, I guess, 3 months ago, 2.5 months ago, which I've shared with you over and over again, so that it's legal to just give people entitlements, not securities. I just no longer think short squeezes are going to be caused by the system buying in stock. I've given you the parameters where I think a short squeeze still could occur, but I think that premise, buying into that premise that the system still worked early on, I think was another mistake of mine. I have other big mistakes in my life. I have other big mistakes. But you can't unring a bell. And you can only do your best today. That's all you can do. But thank you. I'm almost legend. You're always kind to me, and I do appreciate it. Donna, RAILF is 200,000. That's pretty good. Let me look. Of course, it's down now. Darn it. Yeah, it's 237,000. Fingers down 9 cents at 144. G-Bucks is down 22.5 cents at 67 cents. Energy Vault is up 36 cents at 153. Quantum is down 40 cents after being up this last day and a half. And Railtown, of course, is down 4 cents at 51 cents. And they just want they want your money moving. That's all they want. ZJYL is down a penny, 63 cents. GDC's probably up. I can't read it. It's up 6 cents at 346. Nixie is down 2 cents at 173. I mean, I'm sure there's other stocks I should be looking at. I already did Quantum, that's down. Anyway, Railtown is 51.27. They want you worried. This is just the limbo we're in, because there's two sides of concluding a transaction. There's the business decisions and there's the legal work, and I guess the regulatory. So there's three sides. So the business decisions have to be made and signed off by all the people involved, and that could be quite a few people if any of those 160 companies are involved. And then the lawyers have to get the documents papered up. That could be a lot of attorneys, particularly if it's a handful or more of those 160 companies. And the regulatory's in there, of course, as well. And in Canada, it's vacation time, as it is in the Middle East, in Europe, Australia, China. August is vacation time, so let's just plan on not having stress until September. But we could always have a surprise sooner. So I would take any price. And whoever that gentleman was that I said it's not going to go back to 47 cents. You know, he was right. He was more correct than I was, because the stock's now down to 51 cents, although the ask is 52. So I re-emphasize trying to trade Railtown like it's one of these other stocks means you miss the chance if all of a sudden they get the deal done and the stock opens at 125. For Ted Williams, again, I think Ted is number 10 on the list of accounts, number 10 out of 10. I think that's an accurate representation of our top 10 accounts. And I think Ted's number 10. That's pretty good, guys. If just those 10 people made money, I would have done a fantastic job. But I love, for example, that Akira Nova doubled her position, or his, her, I think. And there's a couple of people that have 500 shares, 1,000 shares. Those are just as important to me as these numbers, which is why, Ted, I've hesitated putting this out, is because I find the courage and the commitment of people who just have 500 shares just as meaningful as people who have the top of this list. But anyway, I showed it, and I'll try to type it up. I am almost legend. Never, ever have any of the other names done that. They'll blame and gaslight others rather than self-reflect, as you always do. However, your clairvoyance is still working. Yeah, I don't know. You know, the funny thing about it is it's the thoughts you have or the guesses you have out of the blue sometimes that are accurate. For me, it's not like I can sit down with a crystal ball and go, and then get it. But if I'm sitting with some people and I make suddenly a comment out of the blue, it's weird sometimes. It used to be I'm almost legend much more than once when I was standing with my friends at the bottom line. You know, I would blurt something out and they'd get mad at me that I couldn't keep a secret or something. And I would let them do it, but I never pointed out. Nobody told me that. No one told me it. I just sensed it, you know? So anyway, it got me in trouble that way. More than once, I picked up on things that others did not. I once guessed a woman's name, middle name, because I used to do that. I'd say, give me 3 chances to guess your middle name, and I would do it. I once guessed a woman's middle name. Her middle name was Venus, and I guessed it. I don't know how. Venus. Who has a middle name named Venus? But I guessed it. GDC's up 6 cents. ZJYL's up tiny bit. And Railtown's under pressure. So that gentleman who I guess I was giving a bit of a lecture to, Railtown could break below 50 cents here on the bid. And he might be right. That might be close enough to the 50-day moving average. Live and learn. Frankie, the gap has been filled at 71 cents. We should move up now. I agree with you. I looked at the Canadian chart. I had that reaction. I also looked at the Canadian chart. It had a gap up. I think it was yesterday. It's Frankie, number one, it's the Canadian price movement that matters. And that's where people comparing Railtown to these other stocks, at least one thing is different. This is a Canadian, it's in the CSE 25. I'm trying to think, is Quantum Canadian? I can't remember. But anyway, this is a Canadian stock, not an over-the-counter stock. Trades on the over-the-counter, but it's not. David Hendricks says Railtown's earnings date's August 27th. So let me look at the calendar. If everybody's on vacation and they can't get it done on the 27th, that's a Wednesday, they could delay it to Tuesday, September 2nd. Yeah, I think the most likely time frame for the acquisition to be announced, completed and announced, is between September 2nd and September 10th or 11th. I'd say September 2nd to September 11th. Actually, you know what I would say? September 2nd to September 15th. That's what I'll say. I don't think they get it done prior to that. Too many people on vacation, and maybe it's just too big. But that doesn't mean the stock won't go up, by the way. I think you're right that the stock goes up. Frankie's right. And what you're saying about the earnings date, I'd have to look, David. I think the last earnings date, they didn't report anything. But let's look after I go down the comments. I don't think they reported anything because of the quiet period. I remember looking up the filings, and the most recent earnings and everything I could find was February, sometime in February, but it was the end of the year. It was essentially the annual report. Mark Ashby, oh my God, all these shows. How's Finger doing about changing our lives? I don't know. I think it is changing your lives for the worse. Mark, please don't take somebody else's quote and ascribe it to me. If you want to ask that question, go ask Cam on Twitter. You're ascribing to me a quote I never said. I never said it. So as much as you want to come in here and be a jerk, I just turn it back at you. Actually, I don't want to direct it at you. I'll direct it out so it doesn't harm you. I don't mean anybody harm. But I do want to call things as I see it. I never said that. And I've been very clear, and I think it's the reason Ham's not here anymore. My call has been sharply different for the last 9 months on Finger. So, Mark, I'd appreciate it if you took that kind of comment and directed it at him. Grow up, Arthur. You'll make a fine adult. That's easy for you to say, you don't have 50 pair of short pants hanging in your closet. William is a machine. Yeah, I want to do something else with my life. I really want to do something else. But for the time being, the reason I'm doing this is I can be wrong, and it's a speculative stock, of course, but in our orbit, in our milieu, I truly believe this is the way, one, I can guide you out of here, and two, perhaps, at least for some people, I can make up for, as almost legend puts it, I can make up for some of the mistakes I've made. And I started this heavily June 4th. I've talked about Railtown, I think, since last September, give or take a month. I don't remember exactly. But since June 4th, I've made the commitment to stand in, to be clear, and try to be strong for you. I'm not taking credit for any of this. This is you guys. I think this number is lower by about 100,000, but still 10.6 million shares is massive. That's you guys. And I don't want you hurt. I want you to get out of this. And I don't want the criminals. I don't think the attorneys who are working on this MOU understand the peril that the criminals represent to individual investors. On the other hand, Railtown never asked me to get you to invest in it. They don't owe me anything. And they, they don't need us. So we're just have to be here for the ride. And I think we'll be fine. I think more than fine. I think we're going to, you guys, and Ted Williams, right down here, Ted Williams, he's going to be extremely happy if I'm right, and I believe I am. Ted Williams is going to be a hero. The rest of these guys, you can probably guess who's at the top, but the rest of the guys, not sure I should give out the names, but they can self-identify. Oh. I think Ted Williams can become worth, if he's willing to wait 18 months, 2 years, 2.5 years. The longer we wait, the more it exposes us to variability of outcome. On the other hand, things can happen very quickly. But, I can see Ted being worth $5 million. That's pretty good for Ted. And I like his suggestion of making the top 10 list. But I think it does a disservice for the rest of you whose accounts are just as valuable. Your situation is just as valuable to me, even if it's 400 or 500 shares. It's significant. And I think everybody that's doing this, we have to acknowledge there are risks, but I think the risks are much reduced because of the overall Wall Street focus in raising money, the forward thinking of both management teams, Railtown and AIP, their experiences, both teams, and the fact that specifically in the case of Railtown, their product is battle tested. It addresses a huge market, and it's first to market. And I don't see any debt on that balance sheet, or not significant anyway. I think this stock has a chance to meaningfully change the value of your account. Okay, he's going to tell me I'm all wrong. Blessed beyond belief, the 50-day MIS is only 4 cents away. Guess what? Guess what, blessed beyond measure? We're down 4 cents. So you're right. I don't have a very precise chart like you do. So you were right. We're down 4 cents. You were right. You made it. You made it. I give congratulations. You made a good call. When I say that I didn't say the stock won't get legs till September. I said that we have to get ready to have, look, probabilities of the MOU getting completed now that we're through the first week, almost through the first week of August. I think it's at least 50-50 that we're going to have to wait till September. And if I had to just give a gut instinct, too many people are going to be on vacation to get it done in August. So I think it'll be September. But I didn't say the stock won't get legs. That's a different statement. I actually think the stock can go up during August while people are on vacation. The thing is, blessed beyond measure, the longer the attorneys or the business people delay and the regulators allow it, the greater the period of time is for people who are privileged to know material inside information. Even if they don't act on it, they could be at dinner one night. They could be, sleeping with their neighbor's wife. They could be on vacation with a group of people fishing offshore for salmon and have a little too much to drink and let something slip, and one of the guys or girls is a banker at a different institution. The longer they do not make this announcement, the greater the odds of a leak of material information. And in Canada, that could generate buying. So I did not say, and I do not say, that it's going to take until September for the stock price to get legs. I think the stock price can get legs at any time, and I would expect the stock to be over $1 by Labor Day. So I didn't say what you're saying, but you know what? I have to give you credit. The stock is down 4 cents, and you called it. That might mean that the computers are in charge of the trading right now, and the computers play by those averages. So you made a good call. Bravo, 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 bravo. I'm an amateur and foolish. No, I didn't. I guess I said the trade is amateur. I didn't mean to say you're amateur. And I think the trade is foolish. I didn't mean to say you were foolish. But maybe that's how it came out. I think the price, no, you did it. You were right. I'm the one that turned out to be foolish. I just still stand by it. I think if somebody had money to buy the stock, I think it is an amateur and foolish move to wait for the price to drop. It did work in this case, but I still stand by that in this situation, and I'm not picking on you. I think it's both amateur and foolish. For me, I judge myself that way. That's just how I see it. Others can do it differently. But if I suddenly had, I don't know, 50 grand to invest, I'd just buy it at the market. Or no, well, I mean, I'd put a limit in, but I'd put it at 52.1 and see what happened. But I wouldn't try to wait till the stock goes down. I wouldn't put a bid underneath the ask. Every time I'd buy Railtown, I'd go in at the ask so I know I have the best odds of getting filled, because I believe Railtown can stop this limbo at any time. I believe at any time the lawyers can finish the documents. I believe at any time our pain can be over, because they announce at any time. It could be in 10 minutes that they announce that the transaction's completed, and then the stock opens at $1.20. So yes, I believe it's amateur and foolish to try to save 4 cents when at any time the stock could open up $1. But I'm not calling you amateur or foolish. And guess what? You were right. I give it to you. You made a great call. In fact, you made a fantastic call. So you have more courage than I do. And I hope if you're buying, I hope you got your stock. I mean, it looks like they're going to try to get the bid below 50 cents. They're not having any luck. There's a lot of buying in there. But I think you called it correctly and I didn't. But I think that's a separate issue from my point, which is I think it's penny wise and pound foolish. If you were trying to dance around the buying by 2 or 3, 4, 5 cents, you run the risk at any time that this limbo ends, because a news announcement comes out and you don't get the stock you want to get. But if you're a trader, that doesn't matter to you, because you can find another stock to trade. I'm not a trader, so it matters to me. I don't think there'll be another stock like this. Silver's like this. Silver's almost exactly like this. And I think I'll find other mining and oil and gas shares that make sense. But for the time being, this is it. But I give you great credence. You made a very professional call, and you did the right thing. I didn't mean to name call you at all. If I did, it was a poor choice of words. I mean that. But I stand by my call that with Railtown.AI, trying to trade it like it's one of these other stocks, and you're going to try to get it because it's going to pull back to some level. I think that is, in this case, I'm not calling you or anybody that does it, but I think you're missing the scale of the opportunity here. And I think it is amateur and foolish. I'm not calling you that. It turns out you're right, because another 3 hours of being in limbo. As long as we're in limbo, maybe the computers are going to rule. But I'm telling you, blessed beyond measure, any minute, any hour, any day, any week, any month, the attorneys are finally going to be told by the business decision makers, we're ready to go. The attorneys will paper it up. And at any time, they'll announce the deal is completed. And yes, it has been my experience that it can take 2 or 3 days for news to show up in the price of the stock. But I believe in this case that the sheer length of time that has precluded buyers from buying the stock and establishing their positions, once the announcement comes off and the quiet period is over, you're going to see an incredible amount of buying come in. That's my call. I may turn out to be foolish on that call. And frankly, amateurish on that call. I don't think so. And so I do think it's stupid to try to save 3 pennies when you run the risk at any 15-minute interval, the announcement could come up and you miss out on 30. It's 30 cents, 50 cents more expensive. But that's just how I see it in this situation, not in all trades. Let me say it a different way. In all these other stocks, if you miss a trade, you'll have a chance again in a day or two. In this case, if the announcement finally gets announced, I don't think you're going to see the stock under $1 ever again. So there's a big cost to not getting in because you're trying to play, not you, it's the English language, because one is trying to play for 3 or 4 cents, which to me is nothing compared to what you risk missing. The other thing is, as the stock goes up, I don't think there'll be stock available. If you're trying to buy 50,000 shares, there's absolutely no guarantee as the stock goes up that you'll be able to buy 50,000 shares at any price. Now, of course, I might be premature on that. It might have to get to $5 before that happens. But I'm trying to tell you, Railtown AI is a stock that will end up in institutional and wealthy accounts, and it will not come out. So you're betting on the criminals continuing to sell stock they cannot locate and they cannot deliver, and you will be continuing to rely on Wall Street, the prime brokers, the stock loan desks, willing to give them those shares. And I think that's a bad assumption. Those are my reasons for, if I were buying Railtown, right now I'd put it in at 52.09. I would not put it in at 49 cents. But it did pull back. I don't know if you put your shares in at the bid, if you would have got them, but you're absolutely right. You called it. And I don't know if 51.5 is the 50-day moving average. Let me look on a chart. But you absolutely called it correctly. You absolutely called it correctly. And you did, to me, a high-risk thing, and you won. Daredevils win. Evel Knievel won many, many times. But I think you called it really well. And if you have a trading service, I would recommend it to people. I see the 50-day moving average as 47 cents. So I guess we can agree to disagree on that. But my 50-day moving average is 47 cents. Oh, it says it right here. It says it right here. 50-day moving average, 47 cents. There's no way in hell, if I had stock to buy, that I would put it in at 47 cents. There's no way. But we can agree to disagree on that. It's 50.03 to 52 cents. Everything's in the red except for ZJYO of the stocks I see. Here's Dak McDermott. Just asking a question. You're acting like him. If people don't agree with you, we are shills or asses. Wow. Did I call anyone a shill or an ass? I think you're a shill. I think you are specifically. You're not disagreeing with me. You're just making an idiotic amateur comment. Revenues matter. No shit, Sherlock, revenues matter. But then you're taking it out of context. You're giving a whole laundry list of stocks that didn't work, and you're comparing it to Railtown. Damn straight, you're an asshole, and you are a shill, and you can go wow yourself up the flagpole. Blessed beyond measure. As of now, Railtown is printing a daily bearish engulfing candle. I don't know what that is. The daily bearish engulfing, I really don't know what that means. Engulfing candle on much higher volume than yesterday. So I would say the stock is trending down to touch the 50-day moving average, but we shall see. Who knows? Well, it might touch it. But if you put your buy order in there, is there going to be enough volume to buy? Is it going to touch that 50-day moving average? And is the stock going to be engulfed by a candle? I'm not making fun. I have no idea what that is. After news is announced. None of us know none of us knows when the news is going to come out, blessed by beyond measure. So if the news were to come out in 15 minutes, I think it won't matter what candle engulfs which stock. On the other hand, I'm not making fun of you. Your call, I would trust your call. I would trust your read of technical patterns much more than my own. And I do believe the computers actually read these kind of things. It's probably AI that does it. And I do believe trading patterns follow those calls that you're good at making. But I'm not good at it. I purely admit it. Just for me, if I had 10 grand to invest, I'd put it in at 52.09 right now, the ask. Probably get filled under the ask, but I wouldn't put it in at 47 cents. That's just me. Because I don't know if I'd get 20,000 shares at 47 cents. It might hit that and then rally up. That's all I'm saying. And probably instead of my calling it amateur or foolish, I should say that's if you're a day trader versus somebody that wants to own as large a position of this stock while it's available in order to change the value of your account. Look, somebody that has roughly $10,000 can buy 20,000 shares of Railtown right now. Once the news is out, I'm not sure anybody will be able to put 20,000 shares on their account in one trade at any price. But that could take, for that prediction to happen, it could take until the stock's over $5. But these criminals who are selling stock and their machines keep supplying, number one, they're not looking at the story. They're doing it with hundreds of stocks. Number two, it relies on the prime broker allowing them to do it. Number three, an attorney somewhere has looked the other way at a minimum and signed the paperwork that convinces the prime broker to do it. And number four, there's a stock loan desk saying we'll lend you the stock, or it's automatic. If this stock goes to $2 and there's a lot of calls and people under pressure, that could all disappear. And none of the insiders is selling. None of the major shareholders who established their positions prior to the quiet period is selling. None of the investment bankers associated with this is selling. None of the large, wealthy buyers, institutions, etc., who have bought over the last few months, even though they don't quite know the story yet, is selling. The only sellers are fake shares. So in that environment, if you're trying to play day trading, I think you're taking high wire risk. I think you're being foolish. And from a portfolio standpoint, being amateur. I'm talking about in general. I'm not talking about you, blessed by measure. And I think you've already proven that you're very skilled technically. So anytime you make a technical observation, I'm going to defer to you. I do not claim that my technical calls, me? I think mine are amateur, and I think mine are pretty silly. So I would defer to your technical calls. But if you want to risk missing the day that the stock announces, and I have no idea when, and all of a sudden it's worth $1.50, and you can say to your grandchildren, I could have had 50,000, like I do about Bitcoin. I could have had a bunch of Bitcoin. It's a story. It's a nice story. I just think it would be better to own the stock. And if it pulls back a bit, oh well, I could have purchased it cheaper, it looks like. I could have thread the needle better, it looks like. But at least I know I'm in the stock. That's how I look at it. But I didn't mean to insult you at all. I think you're very good at your technical analysis. In my opinion, even if you think something is a sure thing, can go wrong, never get all in. Well, I don't know what you mean by all in. I'm not telling you to sell the farm. I'm not telling you to sell your house. I'm not telling you to sell your CDs. I'm not telling you to cash out your annuity. I just think to the extent that you have so-called investments in any of these other stocks, they're all high risk, low reward, by the way, high risk, low reward in terms of probability. And they're junk. I think Railtown is speculative, which is a step up. It's a grade up, but it's still speculative. But I'm talking about those pots of money, junk, high risk, and speculative. I think for the time being, you should concentrate everything into Railtown. And if you want to go by the Wall Street sayings, nothing is a sure thing. Of course, nothing's a sure thing. Walking out your front door isn't a sure thing. Your birth certificate isn't a sure thing. Nothing is a sure thing. It's a meaningless comment. Meaningless. Nothing is a sure thing, including diversification, including holding some money in cash. The bank could get shut down. Nothing is a sure thing. It's about probabilities. And it's about your window that you're taking the risk. And to me, you don't have to agree, but I want to be clear where I stand. By October 1, Railtown is a $6 stock. And I've tried to show you, Ryan, that AI 2.0 is real. It's the technological revolution that is going to change human lives. I've tried to show you that Wall Street is raising money for it. Now, Wall Street is educating their sales force now. And when they come back from Labor Day, they're going to want to book some profits. So they're going to sell and push that idea. Try to show that to you. I've also tried to show you that big companies like Microsoft and Google and others, Meta and all these, are buying talent and buying companies in the AI space. I've tried to show you the news stories that use the words frenzy, for example. I've tried to show you the data as it's been increasing over the last years and is now at a record level. I've tried to show you the amount of money. So I've tried to show you the macro. I've tried to show you the wind at your back. I've tried to show you the revenue in AI partners. The partnerships are 400 million. And the goal is to roll up to acquire the best of the best. So I've tried to show to you, even on a minimal level, even if they only get 50 million of that, it translates at the multiples being paid now to a huge valuation level. I've tried to show you that Conductor is first to market, is best in class, is battle tested, and is already generating revenues. And the reason AI partnerships, it says it in the news release that they want to be bought out by Railtown, is because of Conductor. So Conductor has a massive opportunity to create revenues. I tried to give you a low case scenario for revenues 2 years from now. And that's what buyouts and valuations are made on. I do not see, have not used the word sure thing, but I do not see what can go wrong. So you go ahead, hang on to cash while the rest of your account goes up 10x. And then you can put the rest of your cash to work at 10x. I guess it makes sense to you. You must be rich. I don't get it. I don't get it. But anyway, everybody has a different approach. And you'd rather follow some sort of voice that says there's no sure thing and anything can go wrong. What can go wrong with Railtown, Ryan? As compared, and then you have to compare it. What can go wrong? I'll list some things. We're going through an asteroid belt. Apparently we do it twice a year. An asteroid that NASA doesn't see could hit Canada and make humankind extinct. Cash isn't going to be worth much in that case. Donald Trump could trigger World War III, and that could make the stock markets close for a year and the banks close. Either way, things would look grim. Donald Trump announces that AI is no longer allowed to make a profit, and he's nationalizing AI in the United States, and he's going to charge to every other AI country taxes equivalent to their profits and revenues. I don't think that's going to happen. I could be lying to you, but I've tried to enter into evidence everything I've said. So I'd say I haven't lied to you at all. Corey Brandolini in his presentations could be lying to you. I don't read him as a liar at all. John Ruffalo, who has done this for decades and is a technology guy and well respected through all of Canadian business levels, I don't think he's misrepresenting. What can go wrong here, Ryan? Just you're making something up? Oh, anything can go wrong? Well, anything can go wrong in cash. Anything can go wrong in the other stocks. Quantify it. Think about it. In the next 4 weeks, and I've got to tell you, I think it looks like September. I was told to stop saying that because it's ridiculous, just by a friend. And I think it'll be the first or second week of September. So what's going to go wrong between now and September to the Railtown story that's going to make it worth less than 60 cents? The damn thing all by itself before the merger a year ago is worth $2, according to Research Capital. What is going to go wrong, Ryan? On a relative basis. Of course, things can go wrong. But are you saying all these other stocks, the 20 other stocks, are better than this one? What can go wrong as compared to the other 20 stocks? I don't see anything. I don't see anything. Cash? What could go wrong with cash? Currency devaluation, rampant inflation, war, currency controls. There's a lot of things that could go wrong with cash right now. I'm not saying they will, but if you want to be relativist, I'll tell you that. But don't go all in. Don't go all in. I've made my case. Don't go all in. And you'll be able to say a year from now that you established a 40% position because things can go wrong. And you'll know that you were pure and I wasn't, while the stock goes to $6, $7, $10. But at least you'll be pure in your rigid application of a rule that says there are no sure things. I would turn that around. Because there are no sure things. When something comes along, admittedly, it's not a sure thing, but the odds favor it. You should heavily emphasize that, because when that one works, it offsets all the other things that we're not sure. But that's portfolio allocation. And going back to the other gentleman, that's what I'm talking about, professional. I'm not saying I'm professional, but professional portfolio allocation in the venture capital area, the private equity area, one deal works. We've already made our investments in all the other deals and had them crap out. So we're not in an ideal analog. It'd been better if we had simultaneously done everything, but we didn't do it that way. So I think Railtown's where you make your money back. But Ryan, thank you for making your opinion clear. And I hope nobody follows it, but to the extent that others follow it. And again, Ryan, I'm talking about the junk, high risk, and speculative buckets. I'm not talking about what people consider to be safe and annuities and all that. I'm just talking about those buckets. And I guess to you, it'd be better to have your money in other things. And that's fine. That's fine. I made my point. Hey, Steve, great to start. Middle ground. G-Buck 66 cents. I know. Jim H. Charles Payne just retweeted Ham's latest poem. Ham has the truck at the SEC building again. Good for him. Good for him. Good for Charles Payne. That's all very good. That's all very good. It really is. It means traction. It means traction. And it's very good news. It's a reward for Ham's hard work. Blessed beyond measure, Jim H. That's incredible news. How great would it be if he, I assume Charles Payne, did a segment on it on his Fox show? It'd be awesome. Be awesome. Frankie says Rick Brogan just told me that he owns 50,400 Railtown. He has sent me a screenshot. He got blocked. I'll get him unblocked. I'll get him unblocked. Which means I probably have to unblock everybody. Nightmare. Rick Brogan should not have been blocked. Rick Brogan should not have been blocked. He should not have been blocked. That might help, Rick and Frankie. That might help, so I don't have to reduce this other number, but we'll see. Rick should not have been blocked. I apologize, and I'll get that changed. Thank you, Frankie. 50,400. All right, let's go on. G Diddy. Hey, G Diddy. Update added 40K. Yay! Bravo! Bravo! You're doing it. See, you're taking advantage of the limbo tad. That's great, G Diddy. That is great. You're in the top 10, by the way. So you added 40K. So since you're in the top 10, that doesn't move TED downward. TED is still in the top 10. TED is still in the top 10, which I give great applause to TED. I'm almost legend. What would cause the stock of Railtown to increase and move toward $1 before the LOI? Well, it's a good question. It could be the LOI. I mean, it could be the final deal. But what if the final deal goes to September? What would make it go up? I think it would be, I'll answer it and then I'll give the risk to the answer. I think it'd be two things. Other than the news if the news came out, out of seal. But if the news is September, I think two things, and they'll work in conjunction with each other. I think one, the news is, as much as attorneys and CEOs and boards believe it isn't, I think the news trickles out to players, let's call them, in Canada. Nothing's come to me. I can't get anybody to return a phone call. But I think news going out. So I think those people that receive the news will start buying the stock. They can't resist it. That's number one. Number two, I think the low volume in August will mean that buying will make the stock go up. I think people that know that good news is coming will not be able to resist telling their brother, their wife, their girlfriend, their friends, talk about it at the bar, and so it'll lead to buying. The longer the quiet period goes on, the closer to the deal getting done, and the more material good news that they can announce, but somebody knows. People don't keep secrets. Priests do. Most people don't keep secrets. They tell somebody. So I think there would be buying in a low volume environment. That'll make the stock go up. What's the risk? The risk is, while everyone else is on vacation, the criminals try to short the stock in the over-the-counter market. My read, and I can be wrong, the silver stock I own, Dolly Varden, got destroyed by short sellers. It's a Canadian stock. But when I bought it, they were, well, it was Canadian, but I think they raised money in the United States, to my memory. At least that's what I believe I invested in, private placement in the United States. But it still was Canadian. So there's a dynamic I don't fully understand. But my belief is that the short sellers, by shorting the stock in the over-the-counter market, cannot make the Canadian price come down. Even arbitrage, I don't think, if they sell the over-the-counter stock price down, the Canadian stock price is going to be sticky. This is a stock where the price is driven by what goes on in Canada, not what the criminals do here. I also think that's true when we've bought the stock. People said, oh, we're moving it. I don't think so. I think it's all Canada. We'll see. So anyway, that's why I think it can go up. To broadly summarize what I'm saying, and you've never seen it, in my opinion, in any of these stocks that we've been privileged to be shown and invest in. when it's a real bull market, when it's a real price discovery market, when it's a market that has a lot of eyeballs on research and institutions and early movers in terms of investing. Good news and the anticipation of good news is discounted. In other words, it's brought forward. They don't wait. They don't wait because they want to be in it. And they're willing to jump the gun to make sure they're in it. It's unlike anything you've seen in the stock market. And that's how the markets used to be when they were fair. What makes the market for Railtown specifically fair, just like for Elon Musk or Apple, the criminals can play with that. But the fact that major players, well-educated players, well-heeled players, trading desks and research, and knowledgeable players that study the AI 2.0 industry, they are going to be establishing positions in Railtown. And many of them are going to, I believe, going to come to the same conclusion I've had, that after Labor Day, everybody's back to work. And they're going to buy the stock up. It's not going to be subject it's not going to be subject to the reindeer games of the criminals. I could be wrong, and Blessed Beyond Measures already proved me wrong today in the 4 cents. I don't know that he proved me wrong in the 50-day moving average, because according to my chart service, that's 47 cents. But his overall case was made, and he was right. I was wrong. So I'm not saying I'm going to be right. I'm almost legend. What I am saying is the likelihood is this stock goes toward $1 over the next weeks. And even if it takes to September 15th to announce that this deal is completed, I would expect the stock to be trading at much higher prices on a percentage basis than they are right now. You don't need the news to make the stock go up. The adage, buy on the rumor, sell on the news, came before the criminals captured the market. And I think this stock is going to be reflective of how the markets used to be, because there's so much money chasing AI 2.0. But that's my assumption. Blessed Beyond Measure. Here's the thing, William. It's not about 4 cents. It's about the percentages. To extrapolate, it's the same difference as buying another stock for 47 instead of 51. Big difference, in my opinion. Yeah. Let me use your analogy. Let's say the stock's available at $51. You put your order in at $47. So you're going to save $4 a share. I don't know why that's a big difference versus 41 cents and 47 cents and 51 cents. It's the same percentage difference. But anyway, leaving that aside, if you're talking $4, to you, that's a big difference, even though it's the same 2%. let's use that analogy. Let's say the stock in mention at $51 is a stock in the middle of, I don't know, let's say it's oil company stock that's in the middle of an acquisition, but it's taken 6 months, so nobody believes it's going to happen. And all of a sudden, not only is it announced that it's going to happen, the deal got bigger because they brought in, not only did that acquisition happen, let's say ExxonMobil came in and bought the whole thing. So the stock opens after it's no longer trading at 51. They make the announcement, it starts trading at $90. So the stock opens up after the news, during the news, however you want to express it. It immediately trades at $90 on its way to 110. And you had your order in at 47. And because you think $4 is a big difference, you missed out on $45 in price movement. Number one, I don't think $4 is a big deal at $51. I really don't. Any more than 4 cents at 51 cents. In fact, it's the exact same thing. But I think treating Railtown as if it's a day trading stock and getting into that lion of all trades type mentality, I'm not picking on them, or the avid type personality that, well, we can get it here or that, really runs the risk of missing one of the most powerful trade setups that I've seen in a long time. But if you want to play for 2% and risk 50%, missing out on 50%, that is your call. That is your call, of course. I don't have the courage to do that. To use your analogy even further, if Railtown were trading at $51, I don't think this arbitrage would be available. What arbitrage do I mean? I mean the arbitrage that everyone associated with Railtown AI and all of their investors cannot buy the stock right now. Everyone associated with AI Partnerships Corp and their investors cannot buy the stock right now. Anyone associated with the investment banking arm of Canaccord Genuity and their close investors cannot buy the stock now. Anybody at Canaccord Genuity on the institutional desk, retail side, the stock is restricted, so they cannot solicit orders to buy right now. Anybody in the 165 companies who are involved in the roll-up and have to sign off on the deal, and their major investors who are involved, cannot buy the stock right now. If this were a $51 stock, there would be institutions already, there would be ETFs, there would already be retirement plans set up on automatic reinvestment of dividends. There would be buying in the stock, even if it were in a quiet period. So it's not the same in that sense. But man, you're just trying, I don't know why you're doing it. You're trying to get people to hesitate on buying it. And you're trying to get me to waste time. So I don't talk about the virtues. People should not hesitate to buy Railtown at the asking price. Buy it, buy as much as you can, move out of the junk and high-risk stocks into a better category of stock, which is speculative, and concentrate your position in Railtown. Do it today, do it this minute, do it till the end of the day, because you might not have a chance to buy the stock under 60 cents tomorrow. You can be foolish, you can be amateur, you can try to get just a little bit in the move. This stock was 70 cents 2 weeks ago, and blessed beyond measure would have you now, the stock is 52 cents. He would have you wait for yet another 3 or 4 cents down before you buy. He may be right, but you already have a correction. You already have a correction of 18 cents. How greedy can you be? I think it's a mistake. But watch, just watch. Tomorrow, nothing will happen. We'll open up. We'll be in limbo. One more, it'll be Friday. So that'll mean Monday, nothing will happen. And then we'll hope for something on Tuesday or Wednesday. Nothing will happen. Thursday, Friday, nothing will happen. It'll be the next week. So, and it'll end up that maybe blessed by measure will be correct. But I think it's a high risk strategy. The stock has already pulled back from 70 cents. It's trading at 52 cents, and beyond measure can't take that gift horse. He wants it to come down even further. My view is you got 90% of the correction in hand. Go ahead and buy the stock. But it's just a different point of view. It's just a different point of view. Middle ground, 50 cents. Yeah, I think it's 47 cents. Ward Richardson, I'm not going to read that out because it's provocative. The told you guy, the told you guy, I'm not going to read your comment. Blessed daily bearish engulfing candle. When a red candle exceeds the extremities of the previous day's candle. See, I've actually studied candles and tried to understand it. I don't get the candles. Basics, I guess I do, but all right, so it's being engulfed. Therefore, everyone listening, Railtown is experiencing a daily bearish engulfing candle. So therefore, don't buy it and miss out on, to me, 10x, because you don't know, blessed beyond measure doesn't know. Tomorrow morning, they could announce this deal is done. But you're going to miss it because there's some thing called a daily engulfing candle. I'm not mad at Beyond Measure. He's better at technical crap than I am. And it's not crap. It's very important. But I just think it's a completely different. He's trying to turn you into a day trader in this stock. I don't want you to be a day trader in this stock. I want you to buy it, get it right, and sit tight. Who the hell is going to care if you paid 51 cents, 52 cents, or 47 cents when the stock is $6 or $7 a share? Who's going to care? What you're going to care is that you bought the stock. If you sit there, well, blessed beyond measure told me if the candle was engulfing, so the best thing to do was wait till it touched the 50-day moving average. And I feel good. It was good advice, but not everything works out. Go ahead with that. But you're not going to make any money with that. You can make 4 cents. I'm not here for you to make 4 cents. I don't know. I'm tired about arguing it. I'm just tired about arguing it. I am tired about arguing it. I'm not mad at Beyond Measure. He's very good at technical charts. And he's very good at recognizing when candles are engulfing. Hey, Donna. Starting to think this guy is here. Look, I don't think I mean, you're a day trader. I don't want anybody day trading Railtown. So to the extent you get anybody to listen to you, you win. But I think it's crazy. I think it's just crazy. But you're not seeing my point. You don't know when they're going to finish the deal. Anytime they can finish the deal. They could finish it tonight. And you're going to wait for 4 cents. But so you don't really believe in the story. Jack, there's always a sure thing. The shills will show up, particularly when they're trapped. Jack, Donna is a nice person. All right, let's see. It's an 8% difference. Okay, so 51 cents minus 47 cents equals 4 divided by 51. Yeah, 7.8. $51 minus $47. $51 minus $47 divided by 51. Yeah, it's 7.8. It's the exact same. You're right. It's 8% difference. You're right. I'm always bad with arithmetic. All right, so this guy is going to I'm not a day trader, I'm a swing trader, whatever the hell that is. I don't want anybody trading this stock. You've had your platform. This is not a stock to trade. If you trade this stock, you're going to miss 10x. This is not a stock to trade. This is a stock to buy and to hold until the story changes. Or we'll find out. I am not recommending this stock as a swing trade, whatever the hell that is, or a day trade. There you go. My thesis is solely based on the chart before me, not news stories. So guys, if you want to trade stocks based on charts, follow Blessed beyond measure. I am telling you, do not trade Railtown by the charts. Railtown is a different opportunity. All right, let's see how everything's trading. Railtown is 50 cents to 51 cents. It's 258,000. We've got a bit of time to go. GDC's down 10 cents at 330. Nixie's down 1.5 cents at 173. ZJYL slightly in the green at 64 cents. Quantum Computing is down 58 cents at 25.56. MTEN is down 7.5 cents at $13.95. Energy Vault up 27 cents at $1.44. And it looks like the volume is really high, 13 million shares. I would guess a computer's been turned on somewhere. Did I already say Finger? Finger is down 11 cents at 142, 260,000 shares. We didn't say Nixie, did we? Nixie is flat. I don't know. I think I've given you all these. So let's go back to Railtown. Railtown is down 4.5 cents at 51 cents, 50.11 to 51.4. Ryan says, I agree that when you come across something great, you have to put more chips on the table. I have a big enough position, therefore try to change my. Well, that's a fair assessment. And only you. All I can do is coach, give my strategy, try to educate. You're right. It's up at the end of the day. It's up to you. I am on a board of a CEO who went to Columbia Business School. He got a free ride on that, but he got accepted at Harvard Business School. Everybody that touches Harvard has to tell you about it. His business professor said that when you know something, you've got to act on it. And I think in the case of Railtown, I've shown you that you know something. Now, if you think there's alternatives that protect you from some great unknown, I don't know what they are. I'd say silver, platinum, gold, but what are they going to do in 3 weeks? I don't know. Anyway, Ryan, I think you're right in your assessment for yourself. We've got 9 minutes to go. Let's see if there's any other news. There was very hopeful news. Trump is going to meet with Putin, and I hope that the Israeli bloc isn't there. I'm not talking about a religion. I'm talking about Zionists. I hope they're not there at the meeting. Oh, Trump has appointed a Fed governor, Myron, Stephen Myron. He has a PhD from Harvard in economics. The dollar dumped, gold and crypto jumped. Israel to take control of all of Gaza. Netanyahu hosts 20 House Republicans in Israel. MIGA, make Israel great again. MIGA. Yields are spiking. We should talk about that. The bond market is under some pressure right now. And if the bond market breaks, all bets are off. I'm sorry I wasted time with Beyond Measure. He's a swing trader. He's not a day trader, whatever the hell the difference is. I'm telling you, if you want to still day trade and swing trade, go to Beyond Measure's website, go to Avid, go to Line of All Trades. If you still want to be in that hell. Trump's going to announce a peace deal between Armenia and Azerbaijan tomorrow. That should change your life. That's good for him, though. Good for him. Oh my gosh. 2 Pennsylvania state troopers shot. Netanyahu says Israel will take control of Gaza to liberate the people from Hamas. All right, let's look. We'll go for the last 3 minutes, and then I'm going to sign off. I'm worn out by Beyond All Measure. Very disappointing to find out that he's a swing trader. He's not a serious investor. If you guys want to lose money, swing trade. If you want to lose huge opportunities to the upside, swing trade. It's all about cutting your gains short, cutting your losses short, and never making any money. All right, so Railtown is 50 cents to 51 cents. There's 3,000 bid for at 50.11. The ask is 51.01. 51,850, they're saying, is on offer. If you right now put that in, you could get it, but they'll probably give it to you below that. They're just trying to fake you out. Every price is manipulated. 10,000 shares just went off at 51 cents. I give whoever did that credit. We got 2 minutes to go. Fit 0.5011 by 0.5101, 3,000 by 51,850. I think the 3,000 is real. I don't think the 51,000 for sale is real. Now they have 11,850 for sale at 51. I don't think that's real. 51,000 at 51.1. I don't think that's real. They're just trying to head fake you. And then Beyond Measure is trying to get you to think that swing trading is some sort of professional crap to do. It's just, it is professional to trade that, but that's for someone that wants to sit in front of a computer all day. I don't think that's any of you guys. 3,000 by 59.5. They're showing 59.5 at 51.06. They're showing 60,000 at 51.01. They're showing 10,000 at 51.01. They're showing 57.07 at 51. They're showing 51.08, 51.2. They're just trying to tell you that there's a big seller. There's nobody selling this stock. We got 1 minute to go. Last trade was 2,000 shares at 50.52. They want to try to break 50 cents if they can. Dracor Noir. Now, there they do. They have the bid under 50, and it closed at 50.52. So they got it down 5 cents. They closed it with 2,000 shares. These are the attacks that you're going to see whilst the attorneys act very deliberately and take their time. And it may be the fault of the businessmen and women. It may be that it's just gotten so big. It could be that the Canadian regulators are on vacation. But get ready for this. This is going to go on and on and on. On and on and on until they end the quiet period. But I do think, to go back to I Am Almost Legends question, I do think the stock will more than likely drift upward, not downward. But on the other hand, as long as we are in limbo, the criminals have a full field of play to cheat. They just have it. That's just how it is. Okay, I'm immature, and I admit it, I'm immature, and I'm going to ask this guy. He's had his say, and he's gone. I'm totally immature. I admit it. I'm trying to show you how to get the hell out of this awful place that we're in. Jay Britt, I picked up. Good for you, Jay Britt. Good for you. I will update my number. Unfortunately, it might go down a little bit because I saw a double count. On the other hand, I'm so grateful that you guys are giving me these numbers, because it might not go down at all, but it won't go down by much. And we'll stay, right now, we're pretty close to this number. It's probably 10.6, but we're at 7.7%. This is very strong. Don't swing trade out of it. I'm so immature. So immature. Guys, if you want to swing trade, go to Beyond Measure's website. Go to Avid Trader. Go to Lionel Trades and knock yourself out. And guess what? You will knock yourself out. You can't lose what you don't put in the middle. You can't win much either, rounders. Yeah, that's true. Particularly when you see the tell. Pay the man his money. Pay the man his money. All right, it's 4:03. Let's see if there's any outstanding movement after the market. Energy Vault's up 10 cents. After the market, up 12 cents, up 14 cents, 154. Is that the one? Yeah, That's the one that looks like the computers are turned on. Chase it at your own peril. But if you want to swing trade, go to Beyond Measure's website, and I'm sure he'll give you some ideas. He's mature, by the way. I admit I'm immature. I don't want to compromise. I'm sorry. Everybody wants me to be reasonable, meet in the middle, compromise. I don't want you to lose your money. And I also don't want you to lose the opportunity to dramatically change the state of your account. So I appreciate that let's look at the top 10. And I appreciate everybody here. Let's pray for peace. Best chance of peace we have is Trump meeting Putin, maybe at the UAE, and leaving the Zionists behind. And yeah, let's leave it at that. Let's pray for peace. And I wish each of you peace, and thank you for showing up. We'll talk tomorrow, I'm sure. I'm sure it'll be another day of limbo. Pay that man his money. That's right. All right, peace, everybody.